Hey there, literary lovers and mystery enthusiasts. Welcome back to the ScullyPop channel, where the entertainment doesn't stop. I am beyond excited to share something absolutely spine-tingling with you all today. We're diving headfirst into a crossover masterpiece that combines two of literature's most iconic figures, the brilliant detective Sherlock Holmes and the legendary Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. When logic meets legend. Picture this, it's autumn 1891. Holmes receives a mysterious telegram from America that reads, "Mr. Holmes, the impossible has occurred in Sleepy Hollow. The Headless Horseman rides again, and rational men fear for their sanity. Your reputation for exposing supernatural frauds gives us hope. Come quickly, lives depend upon it." Can you imagine? The master of deduction crossing the Atlantic to solve what might be his most challenging case yet. Smash that like button if you're ready for this thrilling adventure. Holmes tells Watson, "Well, Watson, it appears that Washington Irving's famous spectre has decided to resume his nocturnal rides. Shall we venture across the Atlantic to discover whether the impossible has indeed occurred, or whether human ingenuity has simply found new ways to exploit old fears?" Don't forget to hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss a single chapter of this incredible mystery. This story promises everything we love here at ScullyPop. Masterful detective work, supernatural atmosphere, plot twists that'll keep you guessing, characters you'll fall in love with. Drop a comment below and let me know, Team Sherlock or Team Supernatural? What do you think is really happening in Sleepy Hollow? Little do our heroes know that they're about to embark on an investigation that will test not only Holmes' legendary powers of deduction, but their very understanding of how far human desperation will drive people to embrace the darkness of both legend and murder. If you're loving this content, consider joining our YouTube membership for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, early access to new stories, and special community perks. And here's where you come in, my amazing ScullyPop family. This story combines mystery, history, supernatural elements, and brilliant character development. Exactly the kind of content that builds our incredible reading community. Share this video with a fellow mystery lover and let's grow our literary family together. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm your host, ScullyPop, where the entertainment doesn't stop. The autumn fog clung to the Hudson Valley like a shroud, obscuring the ancient oaks and casting Sleepy Hollow in an ethereal twilight that seemed to blur the boundaries between reality and legend. I had accompanied my dear friend Sherlock Holmes on what he termed a most intriguing consultation, though I confess the circumstances that brought us to this storied hamlet filled me with considerable unease. Holmes stood motionless beside our carriage, his sharp profile etched against the mist as he surveyed the landscape with that peculiar intensity I had come to know so well. His gray eyes, usually so calculating and precise, held an unusual gleam, not a fear, mind you, for Holmes feared nothing mortal, but rather the spark of intellectual curiosity that ignited whenever he encountered the seemingly impossible. "Tell me, Watson," he said without turning, his voice carrying that familiar tone of barely contained excitement. "What do you make of our surroundings?" I pulled my coat tighter against the October chill and glanced about nervously. The very air seemed thick with foreboding, and every shadow appeared to harbor secrets better left undisturbed. "It's precisely as Living described it, Holmes. A place where imagination runs wild and rational thought seems somehow inadequate." "Ah, but that is where you are mistaken, my dear fellow." Holmes finally turned to face me, and I was struck by the fierce determination in his expression. "There is no place on earth where rational thought is inadequate. Only places where it has not yet been properly applied." Our conversation was interrupted by the approach of a tall, gaunt man in his clerical garb, his face bearing the drawn expression of one who has witnessed events that challenge the very foundations of his faith. "Mr. Holmes, I presume?" The man extended a trembling hand. "I am Reverend Cornelius Van Tassel. I can't begin to express my gratitude that you're come. The situation has become most dire." Holmes clasped the Reverend's hand firmly, his keen eyes already cataloging every detail of the man's appearance and demeanor. "Reverend Van Tassel, your telegram spoke of supernatural manifestations. I trust you understand that I am a man of science, not superstition." "Indeed, Mr. Holmes, it is precisely a reputation for exposing fraudulent claims that gives me hope." Van Tassel's voice carried a note of desperation. "For if you cannot find a rational explanation for what has been occurring, then perhaps we truly are dealing with forces beyond mortal comprehension." As we walked toward the old Dutch church that dominated the hollow, Van Tassel began his tale. 3 weeks prior, the peace of their small community had been shattered by a series of terrifying encounters. The Headless Horseman, that legendary specter of Revolutionary War infamy, had returned to terrorize the locals. The first sighting was reported by young Thomas Crane, a schoolmaster much like his unfortunate predecessor. He was riding home from an evening social when he heard the thunder of hooves behind him. When he looked back, the Reverend paused, struggling to find words adequate to convey the horror. He saw a rider in military dress upon a massive black stallion. Where the head shroud should have been, there was nothing but shadow and nightmare. The phantom pursued him to the very edge of the churchyard. or it vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Holmes listened intently, occasionally asking for clarification on specific details. The time of the encounter, the weather conditions, the exact location. His methodical approach seemed to reassure the Reverend, who grew more animated as he continued his account. Since then, there have been 6 more sightings, Mr. Holmes. Different witnesses, but all describing the same impossible apparition. I tell you, the creature appears always at night, always in pursuit of a lone traveler, and always disappearing at the boundary of hallowed ground. We had reached the ancient churchyard, its weathered headstones leaning at odd angles like broken teeth in the gathering darkness. Holmes immediately began examining the area with his magnifying glass, paying particular attention to the road's edge where the phantom was said to be. Most illuminating, he's murmuring, crouching to examine something in the dirt. Watson, observe these impressions in the soft earth. I joined him, peering at what appeared to be ordinary hoof prints. They look like any horse's tracks to me, Holmes. Precisely my point. Holmes stood, brushing dirt from his hands. A supernatural entity would hardly require physical contact with the ground, would it? Yet here we have clear evidence of a very corporeal horse and rider. Reverend Van Tassel looked puzzled. But surely, Mr. Holmes, even spirits must manifest in some physical form to interact with our world. An interesting theological question, Reverend. But I prefer to deal in observable facts. Holmes turned his attention to the church itself, its Gothic architecture looming forbiddingly in the twilight. Tell me, have there been any changes in the community recently? New arrivals? Perhaps business disputes, matters of inheritance or property? The Reverend's face was thoughtful. Well, there has been some controversy regarding the old Van der Berg estate. The family patriarch, old Henrik van der Berg, died in a mysterious condition. Just about 3 months ago, found at the bottom of the cellar stairs with a terrible headline. His grandson Willem was set to inherit everything. But then Willem disappeared entirely, just weeks before the will was to be read. Holmes's eyebrows rose sharply. Disappeared? Under what circumstances? No one knows for certain. His horse returned riderless one morning, and despite extensive searches, no trace of Willem had been found. Most assume he met some terrible fate. Perhaps fell into the river during a night ride. How convenient! And in Willem's absence, several distant relatives have emerged from the shadows, press claims. The most prominent is Barnabas van der Berg, a supposed great-nephew from New York City. He arrived shortly after Willem's disappearance and has been aggressive. He's pressing his claim. He's also accusing Miss Katrina van der Berg the old man's ward and the only other potential heir. And when did our phantom first appear? Tasso's face grew pale. The very night after Barnabas produced what he claimed was Henrik's true work, one that named him as sole heir instead of Willem, as if summoned by our conversation. The sound of approaching hooves echoed through the hollow. These belonged to a very mortal rider, a well-dressed man in his 30s who dismounted with evident agitation. Reverend von Tassel, thank God I found you. The creature appeared again, and not an hour ago. It pursued me for nearly 3 miles before I reached the safety of the church grounds. The Reverend made hasty introduction. Mr. Holmes, this is Dr. Watson. Allow me to present Thomas Crane, our schoolmaster. Crane was a nervous, scholarly young man whose hands still trembled from his encounter. Holmes studied him with that penetrating gaze that seemed to strip away all pretense and reveal the soul beneath. Mr. Crane, I understand this experience is frightening, but I need you to recall every detail with absolute precision. The smallest observation might prove crucial. Crane nodded eagerly, grateful to have his account taken seriously rather than dismissed as hysteria. I was returning from Miss Katrina's von der Berg's house. She's Henrik's ward, you understand, a beautiful young lady who has been most distressed by all these terrible events. She figures she may be next, especially since what, Mr. Crane? Since she revealed to me that she doesn't believe Willem is dead. She thinks he's hiding somewhere, afraid to return because someone tried to kill him in the same night his grandfather died. Holmes and I exchanged significant glances, plot thickening considerably. She showed me a note, found pinned to a tree near Willem's horse where it was described. It was written in Willem's hand. It simply said, "Truth is buried with grandfather. Trust me, I will return when it's safe." Most intriguing. And has Miss van den Berg shared this information with anyone else? Only with me, and now with you. She's terrified that if Barnabas knew, Willem might still be alive. Quite understandable. Now, tell me about your encounter with the Phantom himself. Yeah, thundering hooves on the hand-packed road. When I looked back, I saw this enormous black horse with eyes like burning coals. And the rider, oh, he wore the blue and buff of a Continental Army officer. But his shoulders ended in nothing but darkness where his head should have been. Did you observe how he maintained his seat without the benefit of sight? The question seemed to startle Crane. I hadn't considered that. The horse seemed to know exactly where to go, as if guided by some intelligence. Horses are remarkably intelligent creatures. They can be trained to follow specific routes, even without guidance from their riders. Tell me, did the Phantom carry anything? A jack-o'-lantern, clutched in one hand like some hellish substitute for his missing head. The light from it cast the most ghastly shadows. Holmes nodded thoughtfully. And the pursuit ended where exactly? At the church bridge, just as always. The moment my horse's hooves touched the planks, the Phantom unwheeled about and galloped back into the darkness. After Crane departed, still visibly shaken, Holmes turned to me with evident satisfaction. The game is afoot, Watson. Our Phantom is becoming more corporeal by the moment. How so, Holmes? Consider the evidence. Hoof prints in the earth, a horse that follows a predetermined route, and a rider who consistently respects the boundary of consecrated ground. These are not the actions of a supernatural entity, but of a very clever and very mortal deceiver. Over the following days, Holmes threw himself into the investigation with characteristic vigor. He interviewed every witness, examined every location where the horseman had appeared, and made a particularly thorough investigation of the Vandenberg estate itself. That's part one. Check. Hey, Lori. ScullyPop. Naughty Nicky. Fever Dream animation. Super tingle. Super lady. Blood Dragon. There's Izzy Pop. How you doing, Pumpkin? Let me say here. Felicia. Tingle. The Dega outlaw in the house. Jesse's journals and unboxes. Oh, y'all. I need that big skull in my yard. How about those emojis? More of these emojis. Ooh, man, I'm getting hot up here. Getting hot. Let me go back to. We're going to go back to silence. There. How are we sounding, Izzy? Good. Must be good to.
I start my day in silence. Where are my slippers? Where's my notebook? My dreams, write them down. Write down your dreams. Write down your dreams. Don't forget to write down your dreams. More silence. More silence. And now, it's time to go. My journey to where I'm going is steady and still silent.
Take this long shirt, nice shirt off.
I gather my belongings and my clothes, my garments, my gloves.
Everybody's doing well out there.
Socks, my heels.
Having
And
a
I put
fun
them
evening.
together in a way that I'm telling a story with my appearance. The silence starts to break. I start to sing to myself, engage how I feel. I put my clothes on, And still, more silence, more silence. Where's my water? Drink plenty of water. Be fluid,
Crocheting, you'd be pretty quiet, huh?
be one with air. Preparing myself for the adventure. For the
Good
purpose
crochet
of music,
background.
for the sound to grow within my belly. I am ready to start my day. I let my vocals carry me to the next moment.
Go with the flip farm. Go with the flip farm. It's the Flow Nation. I hope the voices are coming off all pretty well. I'm having a little apprehension about letting loose, I guess, but trying to keep one ear on one eye on the computer and one ear on something else. So. Y'all share it out if you can. It'd be a good replay. I might be able to cut it out, but cut that long intro out tonight. I'm gonna go run, take a quick intermission here for 2 minutes and run down there and look. Hey, Pfizer. How you doing? All right, get reset, resituated, reconstituted, refurbished. Super wow. $1 million.
I start
0
in
calories.
silence. Where are my slippers? Where's my notebook? My dreams, write them down. Write down your dreams.
Yeah, you like number 39, Faisal? Awesome. Write down your dreams.
More silence. And now, it's time to go.
That's a pretty cool overlay there. Made by Gemini. Google's Gemini. What was that?
And still silent.
I guess all of these
My
were.
belongings and my clothes.
Actually, that was made by Quinn.
My socks,
Chinese model
my
Quinn.
heels. And I put them
Gemini.
together in a way that I'm telling a
These
story
are all
with my
made by
parents.
Gemini. All these great photos.
The silence starts to break.
Nuts what they're putting
I
out.
start to
That's
sing
like
to myself.
generated in 1K resolution, but
I put my
I
clothes
suppose
on.
it might be pushing 1080 through here now. I can't remember.
More silence. More silence.
Go with the
Where's
flow
my water?
farm. Go with the
Plenty
flow
of water.
farm. Scut, scut,
Be
scut,
fluid.
scut.
Be one with water. Be one with
Tingle,
air.
tingle, 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 tingle.
Preparing myself for the adventure.
Preparing myself for the adventure.
For the sound to grow within my belly. I am ready to start my day.
I am ready to start my day.
I let my vocals carry me.
Let's
Carry me to the next
carry.
moment.
So over the following days, Holmes threw himself into the investigation with characteristic vigor. He interviewed every witness, examined every location where the horseman had appeared, and made a particularly thorough investigation of the Von der Berg estate itself. The cellar where old Henrik died is most revealing, Watson. The fatal blow was struck from behind and slightly above, not consistent with a fall downstairs as claimed. Murder, then? Undoubtedly. But that's not the most interesting discovery. Holmes produced a small object from his pocket. A peculiar brass button bearing a distinctive design. I found this wedged between two loose stones in the cellar wall. Note the craftsmanship. Military issue, but not Continental Army. This is from a British cavalry regiment. I examined the button closely. The horseman's true uniform? Perhaps. But more immediately relevant is what I discovered behind the loose stone. The hiding place was empty, Watson. But the dimensions suggested once contained something considerably more valuable than buttons. Treasure. Documents, more likely. Perhaps the true version of Henrik's will, or evidence of his grandson's fate. Our investigation was interrupted by the arrival of Miss Katrina Ponderberg herself, a striking young woman with the auburn hair and intelligent green eyes that spoke of both beauty and steel. She approached us with obvious trepidation. Mr. Holmes, I must speak with you privately. I believe I know who killed my guardian, and I fear I may be next. Holmes guided her to a private parlor in the village inn. Miss von der Berg, you are among friends here. Please tell us everything. She told Holmes that she suspected Barnabas was not truly his nephew. She said that she hired a private investigator from New York to verify Barnabas's identity. 3 days before Henrik died, he received a telegram that appeared to contain shocking news about Barnabas's true identity. Do you know what the telegram contained? Not the exact words, but Henrik was furious. He told me he was going to change his will immediately, and that Willem was in great danger. That very night, both Henrik and Willem disappeared from the house. Only Henrik's body was found. You suspect Willem escaped? I'm certain of it, Mr. Holmes. There's something else. Something that terrifies me. Her voice dropped even lower. I've been receiving notes. If only I would find them. They're signed with Willem's initial, and they warn me that Barnabas has discovered Willem is alive and is searching for him. She produced a crumpled piece of paper from her reticule. Holmes examined it and he looked at it with his magnifying glass. The handwriting matches the note found by Willem's horse. Miss von der Berg, where do you think Willem is hiding? She said the old mausoleum in the churchyard. It's been sealed for decades, but Willem and I, we played there as children. He knows ways to get inside that others have forgotten. That evening, under cover of darkness, Holmes and I made our way to the old Dutch churchyard. Von der Berg family mausoleum stood like a miniature Gothic castle among the weathered headstones. Iron gates rusted shut and secured with chains that appeared decades old. Holmes, those chains haven't been disturbed in years. Precisely what someone would want us to think. He produced his lockpicks. But observe the rust pattern, Watson. These chains have been removed and replaced recently, then artificially aged with acid and iron filings. Within moments, Holmes had the chains free, and we descended into the musty darkness. Our lantern light revealed something extraordinary. A small living space had been carved out among the ancient coffins, complete with bedding, food supplies, and stacks of documents. Willem von der Berg has indeed been hiding here. Where is he now? A weak groan from the shadows answered his question. Behind the largest sarcophagus, we discovered a young man bound and gagged, eyes wide with terror and recognition. "Well, I'm from the dead, I presume." Holmes quickly freed the young man, who gasped gratefully at the gags and removed. "Thank God," Williams gasped, and he discovered my hiding place this morning and keeping me here waiting for tonight. "Who discovered you?" "Barnabas, Mr. Holmes. It's not what everyone think he is. He's a real man. His name is Benjamin Morse. He's the confidence man from New York who murdered the real Barnabas." "Telegram your grandfather received. It exposed the deception." "Exactly, but there's more. Morse isn't working alone. He has a partner, someone who's been helping him eliminate anyone who might expose the scheme." "Who?" Willem's face contorted with pain and betrayal. "Reverend Tassel. He's been in on it from the beginning." The revelation struck like a lightning bolt. I felt my blood run cold as the implications became clear. "The Reverend has been feeding Morse information about who knows what, who suspects what. Tonight, they plan to make the Headless Horseman's final appearance, one that will result in three deaths that will be blamed on the Phantom." "3 deaths? Yours, Dr. Watson's, and mine. I know you've gotten too close to the truth. The plan is to lure you to the bridge tonight, where Morse will appear as the horseman and kill all criminals. Then he'll disappear forever, leaving behind only a will that makes him sole heir and a legend that will discourage any future investigation." Holmes' jaw tightened with determination. "Then we must turn their trap against him. Willem, are you strong enough to help us?" "What they did to my grandfather, I'll find the strength." Watson. Hey, Lucy, Lisa Anderson, welcome. Lisa Lisa Pop, Lucy Teens. There's Izzy, Easy Pop. How we doing, Izzy Pop? Go with the farm. Lord, Lord, Lord. Oh, yeah. Holmes quickly formulated a plan that would expose both conspirators. He sent Willem to fetch the local constable while he and I prepared an elaborate counter ambush. The beauty of their scheme, Watson, is that it relies on the legend itself to provide misdirection. But legends can be turned against those who exploit them. The Headless Horseman emerged from the fog as before. But as he approached our position, Holmes triggered a series of mirrors he had positioned to reflect our lantern lights. The sudden illumination revealed not one phantom, but two figures on horseback. Behold, Watson! Our supernatural entity requires an accomplice. Second rider was indeed Reverend Fantassel, dressed in dark clothing and carrying what appeared to be weapons. The Headless Horseman, Benjamin Morris, in his elaborate disguise, pulled up short, clearly unprepared for such illumination. Surrender, gentlemen. Your charade is exposed. But Morse was not finished. With desperate fury, he spurred his horse toward us. The glowing jack-o'-lantern in his hand revealed now to contain not candles, but a volatile chemical mixture that burst into flames as he hurled it toward our position. He's trying to burn us out, Holmes! Dove for cover as the incendiary device exploded against a nearby tree. In the chaos that followed, Tassel wheeled his horse about and attempted to flee, but Willem van der Berg, very much alive and accompanied by the village constable, blocked his escape route. Going somewhere, gentlemen? Willem's calling out, his voice carrying 3 months of suppressed fury. Meanwhile, Morse had dismounted and was advancing on Holmes with a cavalry saber drawn from beneath his cloak. The blade gleamed wickedly in the firelight as he pressed his attack. You meddling fool! Do you have any idea how much money you've cost me? Holmes parried the attack with his own walking stick, but he was clearly outmatched by a man with military training. Just as Morse prepared to deliver a killing blow, a shot rang out across the hollow. Morse stumbled, clutching his shoulder, as Miss Katrina van der Berg stepped from behind a nearby headstone, a smoking revolver in her steady hands. That's for my guardian, you murdering swine. With both conspirators captured, the full scope of their elaborate scheme became clear. Benjamin Morris had indeed murdered the real Barnabas van der Berg and assumed his identity. He had then traveled to Sleepy Hollow, where he enlisted Reverend Fantassel's aid in eliminating the existing heirs to the estate. Fantassel was drowning in gambling debts. Morse promised him a substantial cut of the inheritance in exchange. for his cooperation and local knowledge. The Reverend, his clerical collar torn and his face bearing the mark of defeat, confessed to his role in the conspiracy. Henrik von den Berg discovered Morse's true identity through that telegram from New York. We had no choice but to eliminate him. And Willem was supposed to die that same night, but he escaped into the woods. We've been hunting him forever since, using the Horseman legend to frighten away anyone who might help him or investigate too closely. Morse, his shoulder bandaged but his spirit unbroken, sneered at his captors. You think this changes anything? The von den Berg fortune is still out there. There will always be others willing to kill for it. Actually, that brings us to the final revelation of this remarkable case. Holmes produced a leather portfolio from his coat. While searching the mausoleum, I discovered Henrik von den Berg's true will. The one he hid before Morse could destroy it. It reveals that the bulk of the estate was left not to any family member, but to establish a trust for the education of local children. Willem smiled for the first time since we had met. Grandfather always said that knowledge was the greatest treasure. He would have enjoyed seeing his fortune used to create more scholars instead of feeding more greed. It's what Henrik would have wanted. And it's what will do the most good for Sleepy Hollow. As for the legendary treasure that had supposedly inspired so much avarice, Holmes revealed that Henrik's hidden wealth consisted primarily of historical documents and genealogical records, valuable to scholars perhaps, but hardly worth murder. The greatest irony is that the Morse destroyed lives pursuing a fortune that existed mainly in legend and rumor. And as our carriage prepared to depart Sleepy Hollow, I reflected on the strange twist the case had taken. Holmes, when you first examined those hoof prints, did you suspect the conspiracy involved more than one person? The depth and pattern of the impressions suggested a horse carrying unusual weight. At first, I theorized it might be concealed armor or props to create the headless illusion. The truth that there were two riders working in coordination was actually simpler than my initial hypothesis. Infant Tassel's involvement became clear when I realized that every witness had been directed to specific locations where the Phantom would appear. Someone with intimate knowledge of the community's routines and relationships was orchestrating the encounters. A clergyman was the obvious choice for such intelligence. What I find most remarkable is how close they came to succeeding. If not for Willem's survival and Miss von der Berg's courage, evil often contains the seeds of its own destruction. Watson, Morse's greed led him to take unnecessary risks, and Van Tassel's guilt made him careless with details. In the end, their conspiracy collapsed under the weight of its own ambitions. Van den Berg's deception was ingenious in its complexity. Morse had trained his horse to follow specific routes while he rode hunched forward with his head concealed beneath a hollow framework, created the illusion of headlessness. His plan, Watson, was to eliminate all potential heirs and witnesses. He also explained to the authorities by invoking the old legend, he hoped to create an atmosphere of supernatural terror that would discourage investigation while he systematically murdered his way to an inheritance. Perhaps the most chilling revelation was yet to come. Among Von Tassel's possessions, Holmes discovered a detailed list of intended victims, not just Willem and the immediate family, but anyone who might eventually challenge Morse's claim or uncover his deception. Thomas Crane was marked for death simply because Miss Van der Berg had confided in him. Dr. Watson and I were added to the list the moment we arrived to investigate. Even Miss Van der Berg herself was to be eliminated once Morse had secured the inheritance through marriage. Willem shook his head in amazement. I think I trusted Van Tassel enough to seek his counsel when I first discovered grandfather's body. I hadn't grown suspicious of his question. Your instinct saved your life and ultimately exposed a conspiracy that might have succeeded in eliminating an entire family line. As the full scope of the plot became clear, I found myself deeply disturbed by the calculated nature of the crimes. Holmes, the methodical way they planned to use legend and superstition to cover their murders, it is almost unprecedented in its cynicism. Miss Katrina approached us as we prepared to leave, her face bearing an expression of profound gratitude mixed with lingering sorrow. Mr. Holmes, I cannot adequately express my debt to you. You've not only saved our lives, but preserved the memory and wishes of a good man who deserved better than to be murdered for his wealth. Miss Van der Berg, your courage in the final confrontation was instrumental to our success. Many would have fled rather than face an armed and desperate criminal. She smiled sadly. William clasped Holmes's hand warmly. Someday, the legend of Sleepy Hollow will remember just the Headless Horseman. Not just him, but the detective who proved that courage and reason can triumph over fear and superstition. Reverend Van Tassel shook his head in amazement. I think that our terror was nothing more than greed and theatrical props. The human capacity for deception often exceeds our capacity for imagination, Reverend. In this case, legend provided the perfect cover for a very modern crime. Our carriage carried us away from Sleepy Hollow. I reflected on the intricate web of deception we had unraveled. case presented layers of complexity I hadn't anticipated. Indeed, Watson, it serves as a reminder that the most effective deceptions often incorporate elements of truth. The legend of the Headless Horseman proved perfect camouflage for very real crimes. Do you suppose the original legend was based on actual events? Perhaps, Watson. But whether the original horseman was supernatural or merely flesh and blood matters less than the power the legend holds over human imagination. Morse understood that power sought to exploit it for evil purposes. And yet, in the end, it was human courage and deduction that proved stronger than supernatural fear. As it should be. Though I confess, there was a moment when we first heard those hoofbeats thundering through the fog that I felt something of the primal terror that has made this legend endure for generations. I smiled at this rare admission from my unusually imperturbable friend. Even the great Sherlock Holmes is not entirely immune to the power of well-crafted ghost story. The greatest strength of the rational mind, Watson, is not the absence of imagination, but the ability to harness it in service of the truth, rather than allow it to be enslaved by fear. As we departed that haunted hollow, I found myself reflecting on the strange duality of our experience. We had come to investigate a supernatural mystery and discovered a very human evil. We had expected to find a ghost and instead unmasked a conspiracy. Yet somehow, the legend itself seemed strengthened rather than diminished by our adventure. Holmes, do you think there's any chance of more supernatural manifestations in Sleepy Hollow now that the truth has been revealed? Watson, a place where imagination runs as deep as the Hudson River itself, I suspect there will always be room for mystery. The kind that inspires wonder than terror. Stories rather than schemes. Indeed, as our carriage crested the final hill and Sleepy Hollow disappeared behind us, I could have sworn I heard, carried on in the autumn wind, the distant sound of hoofbeats. Not threatening this time, but somehow celebratory, as if the genuine spirits of that storied place were applauding the triumph of justice over evil, truth over deception, and courage over fear. The Headless Horseman might no longer ride in service of murder and greed, but perhaps, just perhaps, he might still gallop through the dreams of those who understand that the greatest adventures often begin with the simple question, what if? And in that thought, both the rational detective and the romantic storyteller could find common ground beneath the eternal stars. The end. Zay Scud, how you doing? People Dream Animation. Thank everybody for coming out tonight. Nice little story for you to listen to.
Silence.
Silence.
Where are my
Silence.
slippers? Where's
Where are my
notebook?
slippers?
My dreams, write them down. Write down
Scroll
your
back
dreams.
up here,
Write down
make
your
sure I didn't
dreams.
miss
Don't
much
forget to write down your
anything.
dreams.
Yeah.
More
Good
silence.
show.
More
Good.
silence. And
Oh,
now,
y'all, it's me.
it's time
It's
to
me. The ET show. You know what time it is?
my journey to where I'm going is
Super,
steady
super lady.
and
Thank
still
you, Izzy
silent.
Pop,
I gather my
Dime Bag,
belongings
Blood
and my
Dragoon,
clothes, my garments, my
CWP
clothes,
Popcorn, Super
my
Lady,
socks,
Blood Dragoon,
my
Miss J,
heels,
Miss J, Miss
and I
J.
put them together in a way that I'm telling a story with my appearance.
Jesse's Journals and more. Spider Pig,
The silence
Spider
starts to
Pig.
break. I start to sing to myself,
Ding, ding,
engage how I feel.
nature dog.
I put my clothes on, and still,
Ooh, I miss New
more
York up there.
silence,
Come
more
in and
silence.
catch that.
Where's my water? Drink plenty of
Where's
water.
my water?
Fluid.
Scotty Waddle.
Be one with water, be one with air.
Michelet.
Preparing myself
Bigfoot.
for the adventure, for the
Star
purpose
power.
of music,
Star
for the sound to grow within my belly. I am ready to start my day.
I am ready to start my day.
I let my vocals carry me to the next moment.
Lord. Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll wrap it up and put it in the vault. Get it ready to cut up, refurbish, reconstitute. We got some jam down here. Oh, no, not that. The clown horn. I thought I had all this music organized. So, can we hear that? I wish y'all can dance for a minute. Oh yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you so much. Spread the love, share it out. Yeah, you enjoyed it, Star? It's good. I'm gonna look forward to going back and listening to it myself. It might be worth cutting out and adding some sound to, you know. I didn't think about that. I don't know. I didn't mean to go live so late tonight. But Zayla V, how you been doing? I've been catching pretty much all y'all's new uploads. I don't know if I've seen anything from Super Lady in a few weeks, but Felicia, I ain't seen anything from her in a while. The Vega Outlaw been uploading regular. Blood Dragoon every day. Yeah, most of y'all are pretty busy. Oh God, what a trying day this has been. I haven't been feeling too bad, but like, oh man, let your guard down for a minute. Ugh. What do y'all want to listen to? I'm about to probably shut her down here in a minute. But oh, this is my song. I think I forgot to play that. All right, Lisa, you have a blessed night too. We'll see you tomorrow. Put your video up and run you some hours. I ran that whole video you had up earlier, so I mean, it probably was still running when I started this. I hope that you're getting some hours. Believe me, Izzy and I know what it takes to ring in those hours. So, oh, you know, it's been all right. I mean, I'm only freaking halfway through my day right now. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I get up early to put my son on the bus, and I don't usually get sleep till late, but it seems like lately it's been 9-10 o'clock in the morning before I go to bed. But I'm pouring in the nutrition, you know, what I can do, and I got a baseline diet I got going on that if I stick to it, I shouldn't have any problems. But I'm trying to gain some weight, so like I'll get off of here, I'm gonna go have some protein powder. Pack it in, man. Yeah, let's go ahead and shut her down. Let me play y'all an outro. I say, I'm going to have my tea.
We go ahead and have your tea, okay?
Here. And this was brought to you by StreamYard with your YouTubes. Is this a YouTube? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love you, YouTube. That's my song.
Story that broke the spell. With every view, a candle glowed. The words returned, the legend flowed. And Scully read with all his soul, a voice that made the silence whole. With every view, a candle glowed. The words returned, the legend flowed. And Scully read with all his soul, a voice that made the silence whole. A voice that made the silence whole. But so if you're lost and sleep won't come, look for the stream that hums and hums. Click subscribe to a world apart, where Scully reads straight to your heart. In a town where the clocks forget to chime, where stories sleep beneath the pine, there lives a voice who walks the night with tales that glow in candlelight. They call him Scully, soft and wise, with velvet robes and moonlit eyes. He reads the world back into shape and opens doors we can't escape. He's the voice in the dark, a lantern of sparks, bringing tales to the heart. In the whispering trees, in the hum of the breeze, he turns every dream to home. When the silence grows near, you know he is here, the keeper of pages, the light in the dark. ScullyPop, the voice in the dark. Emerald leaves a portal wide. He called the midnight guild inside. The books all breathe, the stories flew, as every chapter wrote what's true. But silence came, a storm so cold, a faceless thief with balloons of old. He sought the tale that none could tell, the lost story that broke the spell. With every view, a candle glowed, the words returned, the legend flowed, and Scully read with all his soul, a voice that made the silence whole. He's the voice in the dark, a lantern of sparks, bringing tales to the hearts that roam. In the whispering trees, in the hum of the breeze, he turns every dream to home. When the silence grows near, you know he is here, the keeper of pages, the light in the dark. ScullyPop, the voice in the dark. He's the voice in the dark. He's the voice in the dark. He's the voice in the dark. A lantern of sparks.
appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high.